Although the dynasty proved to be short-lived, several significant historic, economic, and military events took place during their reign, which is why prophecy is mentioned.
Wow. Continuing on in verse.
I keep reading.
Okay, come.
Continuing on in verse 26, it says, "And I beheld, and lo, there was one set up, but shortly it appeared no more." Verse 27, "And the second was sooner away than the first."
Sooner away than the first. Also, 3 months. Go ahead.
"And I beheld, and lo, the two that remained thought also in themselves to reign." And when
Yep. That's right. You see how it's lining up perfectly with prophecy? Like, come on, bro. You can't tell me this book ain't just, there was regular people that just thought to just put this together. This is inspired by the Most High, man.
That's right.
Matter of fact, in Peter, just to pull this precept out, bring this, to aid in the spirit of things. That's right. I believe it's in 1 Peter 1 and 20 or 2 Peter 1 and 20. They were moved through yeah, 2 Peter. Yep. This is the book of 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 20.
I got it. You good.
That's all right here. That's good. It says, "Knowing this first, that no prophecy of the scriptures is of any private interpretation." This is a prophecy we're reading about right now. It wasn't just a random person. William Shakespeare just wasn't in the cut putting this together, man. Okay? Yeah, right. Verse 21, "For the prophecy came not in old time by the will of man." This is an ancient prophecy that we're reading about. 400 years before it actually happened, by the way. It says, "For the prophecy came not in old time by the will of man, but holy men of the Most High spake as they were moved by the Holy Spirit." Okay, so when you read this is actually a conversation, Uriel was dealing with. The Most High was dealing with Ezra so much that not only did he send an angel down, he sent his archangel down to sup with him, which is Uriel, one of his holy angels. All right, and the Most High was feeding this information and using Uriel to feed this information to him. When you go into that word Uriel, Yawar Allah, that means light of the Most High. Okay, so the Most High was dealing with him, bro, just like the Lord's dealing with all of us. And we have very grave information that's been distilled within us to be able to receive these things, especially here within this day that we're in right now. Okay, a lot of people would desire to read this. You read this to a regular person, they ain't gonna even want to know what it's talking about. They're not gonna care, So we have to have a different spirit on us to not only want to learn this, but to understand this. So don't take this lightly. It's a very important thing that we're part of. We are men that are being moved by the Most High to be able to interpret these words and pour it out. Distribute it. Okay? We've been given heavy lots. Be grateful for it.
Psalm 68 and 11. The Lord gave the word. Great was the company of those that published it.
And when you go into that word publish, it means to declare, like the gospel, to utter. Okay? And that lot has been given unto us.
To make public.
Absolutely, to make public. And that's what we're doing on the highways and hedges, the lessons that we do. That's what the Spirit has been placed on us to do. That's our job. Okay? Just as you got your job to go to work or whatever your job is, this is our job that the God of heaven and earth, by the way, the omnipotent, had given unto us. Which shows us we ain't insignificant. We are very significant. God of heaven and earth that created everything gave you this top shelf knowledge and he gave it, to be responsible with. All right, and we could possibly be those future rulers, man. So we've been given something grave, man. We was going into it last week in your class, bro. That engrafted word. This is part of it, man. Okay, go ahead.
Continuing on in verse 28, I'll read it again. "And I beheld, and lo, the two that remained thought also in themselves to reign. And when they so thought, behold, there awaked one of the heads that were at rest."
Because you had those two feathers, which Vespasian was one of them. All right, but this is when he's rising up into power. And this is the start of that Flavian dynasty where those 3 heads had awakened. All right, to a degree, it was like the first triumvirate, except for the only difference was Titus and Domitian were his sons, but they were still all in that agreement with another, you know, just like when you read about, you know, the other ones we talked about.
Part of the same clique.
You know, absolutely.
Okay, so verse 29, you said it's going into the Flavian dynasty.
Yeah, when you go into those three heads that's being reawakened, that's going into the Flavian, that's going into the start of the Flavian dynasty.
They led the siege of Jerusalem too.
They led the siege, and it's going to go into the, absolutely, that beautiful, because it's going to go into that here in a second. All right,
Hell was being put on Jake around this time.
man, absolutely,
The three
absolutely.
heads, the three heads that's in what is that? The 23rd verse. It's synonymous with the second triumph.
No.
Am I tripping?
The second triumvirate was with Octavian, which is Julius Augustus.
That's
All right, and Brutus and his name's Lebanon, something like Lepus, I believe, something like that of that sort. Lepinus, that's his name. But that's the second triumvirate. This right here, these three heads, it isn't the second, but it's just like to a degree a reenactment of the first. You know what I'm saying? But no, it's not. It's not the second triumvirate.
Didn't you say?
I'm talking about the 29th verse. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
the 20. That's the Flavian
That's
dynasty.
the Flavian dynasty.
When you read it earlier in the chapter, going into those three heads, all right, that was the first triumvirate. And this is like, you know, Vespasian came later on as a reincarnation of Julius Caesar.
Right. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Where you go into these three heads that had awakened right now.
Oh, yeah, I got the old notes when we was.
It's all good. It's all good. You know, the second triumvirate was literally right after the first. It was literally right when Augustus was in power.
Okay. Okay. So verse 30, it says, "And then I saw that the other two heads were joined with it."
Titus and Domitian. Okay, go ahead.
It says, "And behold, the head was turned with them that were with it, and it did eat up the two feathers under the wing that would have reigned."
There you go, Vespasian. All right, eating up the other ones. Bro, there was a lot of backstabbing that was going on between those Romans, those Edomites. That's why it was the year of the four emperors. They got in there and got out quick. You know, obviously other than Vespasian because he was the fourth, but also too the head. You know, go ahead.
So who was it that ate up the two feathers?
It was Vespasian.
Vespasian.
Okay, come.
Because we're gonna read about the other heads that ate another one up.
It says, verse 32, but this head put the whole earth in fear, and bare rule in it over all those that dwelt upon the earth.
Yeah, this is going into the hell that they was putting on Jake as well. All right, the brother mentioned earlier, starting with 66 AD. All right, starting with 66 AD to 70 AD. All right, that's when you have the siege of Jerusalem. Okay, and that's also written in when you go into the writings of Flavius Josephus. Okay, he goes into that in grave detail when you read about that in that book. All right, it just wasn't quick. It took time. It took a few years to actually siege Jerusalem and go in there. All right, they had to cut off food supply, water supply, dig. They literally dug under. You know, it was a lot that they was doing. Okay, but they was putting the earth in hell, starting with us. You know, matter of fact,
Babylon the Timbuktu, if I can say,
Come.
It brings that narrative out too, and it says names too, Vespasian and his son Titus, the Flavian dynasty. You know,
That's right.
From the Babylon to Timbuktu.
Con. And just a few precepts. We're gonna bring this out of Luke 23, and then if somebody can hold Revelation 12, starting at 13, anybody can show? Luke chapter 23, starting at verse 28.
Luke chapter 23, verse 28.
Because Yahushua told Jake this. Okay? Yahushua told Jake that this was going to happen. And this is the time period where this event had transpired. This was well after Yahushua's crucifixion. You got it.
This is also in the curses too. Luke 23 and 28. But Yahushua turning unto them said, Daughters of Jerusalem, weep not for me, but weep for yourselves.
They was weeping for Yahushua when he was getting beat. He was carrying that stake with Simon up there. That's when they started weeping for him. And he's saying, don't weep for me, weep for yourself. Go ahead.
And for your children. For behold, the days are coming in the which they shall say, Blessed are the barren,
and the wombs that never bear.
So that shows you how severe this time period was during the Flavian dynasty. All right, because Jake was being starved out, eating children, doing all and above.
Belts and shit.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's coming now.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In the mountains.
It's coming. That's right, Mike Oliver. It's coming all over again.
That's right.
Now, Yahushua was talking about a lot of these prophecies there's duality involved in them. All right, you just got to be spiritual to be able to see it. That's why Ecclesiastes said there's no new thing under the sun. Okay, just as Jake caught hell around the time of Nebuchadnezzar, Jake caught hell around the time of Antiochus Epiphanes. When you read about that in Maccabees, Jake caught hell around the time of the Flavian dynasty. Jake is about to catch hell in the latter days during Jacob's trouble. And it's time that we in right now, man.
And their true intent is to get to that temple.
That's right.
And it took them a long ass time because Jerusalem is a defense, it's fortified. The city
That's right.
sits on a hill. It's like
Mm-hmm.
so it took them a while. This time the defense city is gonna be defended. You know what I'm saying? Because ultimately
right.
they knew if we got to take these people down, we got to get that temple.
That's right.
They knew. You know what I'm saying?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful point. That's why they're going to try to put a mark.
Yeah.
Namely, they want to get at the temple. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, because when that's gone, it's over.
It's over.
No way to sack a spiritual temple. You always talk about
Yeah.
that.
But we are the spiritual temple.
Absolutely.
That's why they're trying to attack us.
Absolutely. That's why they want to put a chip inside of you.
Yeah.
To defile that temple.
Found the temple.
Just like even around that time period, I forgot what emperor that it was. I believe it was Caligula. He wanted to put his actual statue inside of the temple back before. You know, and there was actually conflict going on back then within that. There was even strife. You know, certain scholars will say there was even strife that was going on between the apostles for it. You know what I'm saying? But he wanted to put his own image within the temple, which he succeeded at that. Because it was physical anyway. Okay, but that's why they want to put that chip inside of you to do it all over again, just in a more dynamic fashion. Dynamic and subtle at the same time. To the carnal man. Go ahead, Tasha.
I got
There's a
you.
precept.
This is underneath Caligula in the Encyclopedia Britannica. Going down, it says Caligula pursued his pretensions to divinity further in the summer of 40 A.D. He ordered his statue to be erected in the temple at Jerusalem, but under the suave persuasion of Herod Agrippa, Caligula countermanded this potentially disastrous order.
Okay.
The Roman populace had by now grown wary of this mad and unpredictable tyrant, and several conspiracies were formed against him. January 41, 4 months after his return to Rome from Gaul, Caligula was murdered at the Palestine Games by Cassius Caharia, tribune of the Praetorian Guard. The Praetorian Guard was always used to hit niggas.
Yeah, they hit Vitellis now.
There's some good movies on the Praetorian Guard.
Yeah, they
For
hit.
water for that, because I got it mixed up with the image of jealousy that was in the temple where I said it was erected in there. That's what it was. The water for that.
And
Go ahead, Tasha.
going into what you were going into about them when you put the mark in you, there's a precept, so I can't remember it verbatim.
How does it go?
It says, he that defileth the temple of the Most High, to him I shall surely destroy.
Okay.
So that's them trying to force that mark.
Con.
So con.
That's your part. Beautiful. We can go back into this in 2nd Ezra 11 unless. Oh, yeah. Revelation 12 as well. That's right. That was pretty much it on that Luke where they said they want the mountains to fall on us.
Okay, yeah, I can read that.
Okay.
Luke 23, middle 29. Blessed are the barren and the wombs that never bear, and the paps which never gave suck. Then shall they begin to say to the mountains, fall on us, and to the hills, cover us.
Because a lot of people, especially, I'm going to say this, the people that aren't in the know, these regular, I should say, bystanders, they're going to bear witness to a lot of death. Like the prophecies go into, like the curses go into that the brother mentioned. They're going to eat their kids. They're going to go above and beyond to try to make sure that they're self-sufficient, self-satisfied. That's why we going to have joy in that day where everybody else sorrows.
Right.
That's why the scriptures say, like sorrow shall be turned to joy. When they are in sorrow, we're going to be in joy. All right? And it said, they shall be hungry, but my servants shall eat. Okay? Goes into how the elect are going to be taken care of around this time. Okay, that was it on that one right there. You got that in Revelation 12, right?
Kind of, I got that.
Come on.
Verse 12.
And yeah, chapter 12,
Verse 13.
starting at verse
13.
13.
yeah, starting at verse 13.
Okay.
Right.
This is Revelation 12 and 13.
And Aslaki and Yashawamba mentioned earlier when you read about this dragon here in Revelation 12, it's talking about the Roman Empire. All right, and we read earlier in Daniel 7 that this little horn that came out of that beast is an extension of that Roman Empire, which is talking about America. So you're going to find little clues in here about America as well, but namely, it's going into the Roman Empire, which is that dragon. Okay, go ahead.
Revelation 12 and 13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child.
Persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. That woman is talking about Jerusalem. Okay? Talking about Jerusalem. And the man-child, namely, is talking about Yahweh Shai. That's the man-child. Okay? Go ahead.
And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might flee into the wilderness.
Now, this is a different eagle. Okay? And those 2 wings are going pretty much just going into just the southern kingdom that fled into the mountains. That fled into Africa. The ones that were able to escape, by the way. Because not all Israel fled out. They didn't have the opportunity to. A lot of Israelites died. There was millions of Israelites that died under the Flavian dynasty. Those Israelites that were captured in 70 AD, all right, when they seized in there and taken it and went into the temple, sacked the temple, took all the gold, a lot of them were thrown into those gladiator pits and mauled by lions, mauled by champions, and they suffered heavy persecution even after that. Okay, it was millions of Israelites that died that were taken captive under those Edomites around that time. All right, so Jake was catching holy hell around this time. Okay, and then those that were able to escape, all right, is which we're fruit from technically. Okay, because they went into Africa, dwelt there, traveled all the way south, 1,000 years, you know, and then later on, transatlantic slave trade.
Yep.
You know, go ahead.
Notice they were primarily in West Africa, right there. It's perfect for them ships. To come
Right. Right.
All coastal, yeah.
Like, what were the odds of that?
Yeah. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Straight up.
But it makes sense because Israel's on the coast.
By that water.
You know?
Jake don't be
They
on
love to be by the water.
Jake
But
love
it's
to be
just
by the
dope how
water.
they were primarily in that area.
Right.
Easy for them to round them up and take them right.
Man.
I
easy
mean,
for picking.
port cities were always the most popular places
Yep.
to be because of trade and
Yep.
being able to move goods to and forth. You know,
Oh, yeah.
so port cities all throughout the scriptures is the main cities that's mentioned because it's this epicenter of movement, and finance, and thereby policy and everything. So you didn't want to be too far from the water
Come.
because you literally isolating yourself from natural resources.
Straight
you
up.
know. So
Straight up.
when you read the scriptures, either you high up or you're by the water.
Come.
Yeah.
That's why Tyree was so popular.
100%.
Yep. They would ship those trees
Yeah.
from the water.
Yep.
Easy access to get right over there to where we was at, over there by Moriah. Man.
Everything was shipped. Everything was moved. Needed to be by the water.
Come.
I'll read 14 again.
Yeah,
I
buddy,
didn't
sure.
finish it, so like it.
Come.
This is Revelation 12 and 14. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might flee into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time, in half a time from the face of the serpent.
Yep, that's it. That goes into that period we were in Africa until we got taken again. You know, by those Edomites again.
Yep. That's yep. West Coast Africa, yep.
And also too, in the midst of that time we were in Africa, you know, that's where that falling away happened as well. A lot of us lost our heritage. You know, I mean, we were still practicing our customs and such, you know, but the further we got away from that land, the whacker we got to the point where we were taking captivity and completely lost our heritage pretty much. You know? So it's very, the Most High calculated all of that, man. You know? The water for that. That was pretty
What
much
verse
it,
was that you just read?
Verse 14.
Revelation 12 and 14.
I got a precept. This is alluding to what you said, Shar, about Israel in a time of the siege, which is going to be re-administered into today's time. And so this is a precept. This is 24, Matthew chapter 24, verse, I'll start at 15. And this is red letters, so this is Yahweh Shah speaking. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything of his house.
And that abomination of desolation always goes back to when they sacked the temple. Okay? When you go into it with Titus, really with Vespasian, they went into that temple and took everything out of it. You know, destroyed it utterly, literally, utterly. You know, that's why Yahushua said, not one stone shall be left unturned. Okay? When you go into it right now, there's a wall that they pray to. It's called the Wailing Wall, you know, Fort Shekinah. You know, it's really those so-called Jews are humping it. Because it goes into a fertility deity, Shekinah. Even these churches will sing about Shekinah glory, Shekinah glory. That goes into a completely other idol. And that's Fort Antonia that they're praying to. Okay, that's not that. All right, but when you go into it, they went in there. All right, and later on, they'd actually built the Roman Colosseum. The Roman Colosseum, for those that might not know, was literally erected off of the money that they are the riches that they had taken from our temple. Which shows you how much was in the temple. You know, they built that whole Colosseum. And also they had built what was called the Ark of Titus. All right, and the Ark of Titus was really orchestrated to be built by Domitian. Okay, but when you go into the images that's placed on an Ark of Titus, you got those Roman soldiers that are walking out carrying the golden candlestick. All right, that's when you can see that when you look at an image of it. And that goes to them destroying the temple and taking all the riches out. Just like what Nebuchadnezzar did.
They have a replica of that in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. They sure do.
Man,
they sure do. Yep.
Downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's right. They gloated about our downfall. You got it now.
One of the 7 wonders of the world is the Roman Colosseum, bro.
7 wonders of the world.
Because they're like, this is one of the great achievements of mankind.
Man, to take down Israel and to build off of their riches.
Man.
Yeah, man, that's heavy. We can jump back into that in that 2nd Ezra 11. I think we left off in like verse 33, 34.
Yeah, I'll read 32. This is 2nd Ezra 11 and 32. It says, but this head put the whole earth in fear, and bare rule in it over all those that dwelt upon the earth with much oppression.
Mm-hmm.
And it had the governance of the world more than all the wings that had been.
Mm-hmm.
And after this, I beheld, and lo.
My bad, more than the wings that had been. Flavian dynasty was doing a thing in wickedness. Yeah. You got it. That's what
did they have like more territory at that time too?
More territory as well.
Yeah.
More people under them and more death. Mm-hmm. It was doing a lot, bro.
It says in verse 33, and after this I beheld, and lo, the head that was in the midst suddenly appeared no more, like as the wings.
At his time he was gone.
But there remained 2 heads, which also in the sort ruled upon the earth, and over those that dwelt therein.
So that first head was Vespasian, and Vespasian died. All right, you can actually look this up for yourself. Vespasian, you know, you watched the movie Life, where they was getting ready to get let loose, and he went to the bathroom and he ain't come back. He literally died on the shitter. That's how Vespasian died, dookie on himself. You know, he died of immense diarrhea. One of his latter words when he died on the deathbed was like, I believe I'm becoming a god. You know, so excuse my French, but he died. He lasted until his shitty end.
His death was basically it's rumored that he died of like some like stomach cancer. It's rumored that like someone poisoned him. There's multiple kind of like stories about how he actually died of the issue that he had. Whether it was some type of viral disease or whether he actually got poisoned, because when you read about Vespasian, because that was Titus's son, right?
Vespasian was the father.
Vespasian was the father. There was a lot of just controversy going on in that time, and you know, whether he was going to be accepted or not still was up in the air. He had his campaigns where Titus was fighting for him.
Yep.
That's right. Titus was the son fighting the Jews.
Right. Yep. Yes.
Fighting the Jews.
Yes.
And so there was a lot going on with that, you know. So you'll get different accounts on how he died.
That's
You know,
right.
Whether it was natural causes or whether he was actually poisoned, it's up in the air.
Yeah, that's right.
Nigga was bloated.
He bloated with dookie on the sheets.
Yeah, he's through.
All right, bro.
Damn.
Oh man.
Nigga was taking probiotics.
Man, he was hurt. He was hurt, bro. You think I'm becoming a god?
Verse 34. Okay. Second Ezra chapter 11, verse 34, it says, "But there remained 2 heads, which also in the sort ruled upon the earth, and over those that dwelt therein. And I beheld, and lo, the head upon the right side devoured it that was upon the left side."
That's right. And 2 heads were, again, Titus and Domitian. All right. Now, certain people will say that Titus, there's different theories that are out there of how Titus died. Certain people will say he died in a fire. Certain scholars believe that he was murdered. Certain people even believe that he was poisoned by his brother. That's what I believe happened, because the scriptures say that it was devoured.
It makes sense.
Mission
It makes more sense.
Or
Yes.
poison him or something.
But all of these guys was just fighting, bro. Like the whole time it was just infighting. They were paying people off, trying to get position the whole time. That's why they make so many movies about this era, because there's so much drama.
Yeah, straight up.
It's like constant drama, bro.
Yeah, straight up.
Okay. It says in verse 35,
Let me see if I can go with time.
"And I beheld, and lo, the head upon the right side devoured it that was on the left side." Verse 36.
I got a quick precept. 2 Ezra 12 and 28. It says, "For the sword of one shall devour the other, but at the last he shall fall through the sword himself." All right, and that's going into those 2. When you read about the 12th chapter, it is a breakdown of the 11th, but it's not fundamentally. Well, it is fundamentally broken down. This is the more complex version of it, because we actually know who these people are. Okay.
It says in verse 36, it says, "Then I heard a voice which said unto me, Look before thee, and consider the thing that thou seest. And I beheld, and lo, as it were, a roaring lion chased out of the wood."
A roaring lion chased out of the wood. Okay, so this is after the brother Desharakwa pointed out earlier that this is a little snippet of America's judgment too. Okay, a lot of these prophecies have to do with duality. Generally, this is talking about Rome, but America is that little horn that came out of this dragon. Okay, so Yahushua represents this lion that came out of the wood. Okay, and by the way, this is the only other reference, okay, that you read about, which also shows you the validity of the Apocrypha. Because when you go into the Lion of Judah written in Revelation 5, in the scriptures that we have today, without the Apocrypha, that's the only mention of Yahushua being described as a lion. All right, other than this here in 2 Ezra 11 and 12. Which again shows you the validity of the scriptures that we have right now, the Apocrypha. All right, this is the only other reference to Yahushua being a lion here in 2 Ezra 11 and 12. Okay, you can type in lion on the blue letter, and the only one that will refer to Yahushua is Revelation 5. Okay,
So basically that lion coming out, chased out of the wood, is Yahushua.
that is Yahushua.
And he's returning to Rome. He's returning to the second Rome.
Right.
That's right.
Because when you read Daniel the 7th chapter, he comes right after that little horn rules.
That's right.
Speaks great things.
That's right.
That he goes in and out of different time frames, and how he even went into how they would wear us out. That little horn wore us out.
Straight
but
up.
that's where Yahushua returns. When you look at prophecy,
That's right.
if you look at prophecy, it all ends through that little horn. That's where the Lord sends his son. When you read Daniel the 7th chapter.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's when Yahushua returns through that little horn.
That's right.
After that little horn's rule,
Yeah.
that's which is proof that that's Esau.
Man.
Because the end of the world.
That's right.
Absolutely. Absolutely, brother.
Six, y'all.
That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Or 7.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I got a question, bro.
Come.
About this scripture, you said that about that lion. It's Jeremiah 4:7. The lion is coming up from
Okay.
the
Yeah, that's
That's
talking
my-
about Nebuchadnezzar.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
talking about
Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Come.
Because when you read Daniel the 7th chapter, that beast is likened to a lion with wings on it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
You know, the Assyrian Babylonian Empire.
Mhm.
Nebuchadnezzar was actually a Syrian.
He was Assyrian.
Yeah.
That's right. Come. I got a precept though too with just to show that lion right there is talking about Yahweh Shai. This is 2 Ezra 12:31. And the lion whom thou sawest rising up out of the wood and roaring and speaking to the eagle and rebuking her for her unrighteousness with all the words which thou hast heard, this is the anointed which the highest hath kept for them and for their wickedness unto the end. Which shows you again that little horn right there is a miracle.
Right, because we would be raised up too.
Mm-hmm.
The Lord would send the Holy Spirit down after that 3 days and a half, and we will go out and prophesy. That's also a part of that lion rebuking.
That's right.
We would be prophesying, man. We would be chanting this bitch down, standing in great boldness. So it's it's the Most High Yahweh Shai and them elect men who have the new song. They're gonna speak it into existence.
That's right.
That's right.
They're sent to be, to speak it.
Come.
You know what I'm saying? But the Lord, Yahweh Shai gave us the word here in this captivity.
That's right.
And you said that was in 2 Ezra 12 and what?
Yeah, 12:31, and I'm in the middle of 32.
Oh shit.
It says, "This is the anointed which the highest hath kept for them, and for their wickedness unto the end." He shall, because remember, he's rebuking that eagle, like the other said, which shows you that this is a reenactment of that eagle, pretty much. That's right. He shall reprove them and shall upbraid them with their cruelty.
Judah shall be in the neck of his enemies.
That's right. That's right.
Genesis 49:8.
Verse 33 says, "For he shall set them before him alive in judgment and shall rebuke them and correct them." You know, makes me think of in Proverbs, it goes to a cruel Lord, shall loosely paraphrase rebuke them, which is talking about Yahweh Shai. All right, the Most High is coming with violence.
Yeah.
He's coming with violence, man. Okay, he's coming with threats. Okay, it's a threat that we utter and rebuke, and these are threats, man.
Yeah, he's coming to devour.
That's right.
He made a promise.
That's right.
Because when you read Daniel 7, and remember it just jumps to the Ancient of Days. That's the Most High setting his judgment, opening the books. And he's going to send Yahweh Shai to get them who are written in the book, but it says one likened unto the Son of Man. Notice after that fourth beast, that's when he come. So this is that lion, but it starts here with us speaking it into existence.
That's right.